Daniel Sports Central will be over a college football game preview and prediction on the Week 1 matchup between the Ohio State Buckeyes and the Minnesota Golden Gophers. And this will be one of the big matchups here coming up in Week 1 in the Big Ten Conference. You got Ohio State on one side, who was a national championship team last season. They made it to the college football playoff and proceeded on to the national championship games. They had an outstanding 2020 season. Only thing is they don't have Justin Fields anymore. Now they've got a promising quarterback, yet a young quarterback in CJ Stroud. As for Minnesota last season was very disappointing, especially after an outstanding 2019 season. So it'll be interesting to see whether or not Minnesota can hang around in this game and potentially get a big upset win to kick off the season. So that being said, we're going to go ahead and get started with this game prediction. We'll be going over a full preview on this matchup today, and it's going to be on Thursday, September 2nd. So this is not a Saturday game. This will be pretty much an opening night of college football. I mean, you got a couple of Week 0 matchups here this weekend, but this officially kicks off Week 1 here. This is definitely the best first matchup of the week. Obviously, you got on Thursday a couple of the games, but this will be the big one on Thursday for sure. It's going to be in Minneapolis, so the Golden Gophers are the home team here, 7 p.m. Central Time. The line currently says Ohio State by 13.5, so the Buckeyes are favored pretty significantly here. Over-under is 65.5, pretty high rate there. Then you got the ESPN FPI, which is going with the Buckeyes as well, 85.7%. So Ohio State, once again, very favored in this matchup, which is not much of a surprise considering where Ohio State was last season, but also where Minnesota was last year. But the series history, Ohio State leads at 45-7, so it's a very rare occasion to see Minnesota beat Ohio State. But the Buckeyes got a 10-game winning streak right now in this series. Last game was in 2018 between these two teams. So obviously you got Ohio State on one side. I mean, I think this game could be a bit closer than what a lot of people are thinking, mainly because I think Minnesota is going to bounce back this season. I mean, if you look at them in 2019, that was a very talented Minnesota team in 2019, and they still got Tanner Morgan, the quarterback from that 2019 season. And Tanner Morgan, if he can continue to improve, I think he can be a huge impact player on this Minnesota offense. But, I mean, Ohio State, that's a great offense. I mean, Ohio State is great defensively every year, but it was just the offense last season that was, in particular, really good, and that was why Ohio State was such a good team last season. I mean, defensively, Ohio State had some outstanding players, but I mean, with Justin Fields and Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson, I mean, this offense was outstanding last season. And the big thing is for Ohio State here is, I mean, this team is returning so much still going into next season. I mean, of course, you don't have Justin Fields anymore, but you still have got a very talented offense coming back for this season. As for your stat comparison heading into this matchup, these are your 2020 final stats. Ohio State had 34 points per game last season, 19 points allowed, 253 pass yards, 275 rush yards per game. So this was a very high rushing team last season as well in Ohio State, and they allowed 201 passing, 112 rushing for yards last season. As for Minnesota, 24 points per game, 25 points allowed, 199 pass yards a game, 191 rush yards, and then for yards allowed, 227 passing, 152 rushing. So really in just about every area, Ohio State's stats were either slightly or significantly better than Minnesota's. So that's definitely something to watch out for there, is that Ohio State obviously was a better team last season, and talent-wise, Ohio State does have more talent than Minnesota. As for your key points heading into this matchup, once again, Ohio State was 7-1 last season. Only loss was to Alabama in the national championship game. So yeah, they were an outstanding team last year, and this is a Ohio State team that, I mean, with CJ Stroud, this is going to be his first start. His first start as the starting quarterback for the Buckeyes. And CJ Stroud, of course, was an outstanding recruit in high school. And this is going to be his first full-time season, it looks to be right now, unless something happens. And he's had time to look back on Justin Fields, and I think that CJ Stroud is definitely bound for a great season here in 2021. Future looks very promising for the Buckeyes. I don't see this Ohio State team going anywhere anytime soon. As for Minnesota, they were 3-4 last season. Disappointing 2020 season without a doubt, especially after their huge run in 2019. I mean, that was still a very random season for Minnesota in 2019 when they were ranked nationally pretty high, but yeah, 2020 being at 3-4, it was kind of disappointing, but I think Minnesota definitely has got potential for redemption this upcoming season. Tanner Morgan returns along with a very talented offense. This offense looks outstanding this upcoming season for Minnesota. So that being said, though, let's move on to the prediction for this matchup. I've got Ohio State getting the win. Not much of a surprise there. It would be a major upset if Minnesota got the win here. I mean, it would really shake up the college football world to start off the season because, I mean, with the college football playoff, you got like 4 or 5 teams that are always in it. You got Ohio State, which is normally always in it because they always win the Big Ten. I mean, they have been for several years in a row now. I mean, it would be a huge upset if Minnesota won this game. I think Minnesota could keep it close early on. Once again, I think Minnesota this season actually is going to be a pretty good team. I've got them finishing up at 2nd in the Big Ten West, just a game behind Wisconsin right now. So I've got Minnesota definitely being a contender at the beginning of parts of this game, but I think at halftime, 24-10 will be your score. I think Ohio State does score before halftime. That's going to give them a decent gap heading into the half, and that's going to give them some good momentum as well heading into the second half, where they'll score a couple more touchdowns and kind of seal the deal for this Ohio State team to get the win, 38-24. I do think Ohio State scores over 35 points in this matchup. I'd say at least over 30. I think that Ohio State, I mean, this could be more. I don't think Ohio State's going to put up any major numbers in this matchup just because of the adjustments that this offense does have to make. I mean, once again, you do have a different quarterback and everything, and it could be a rusty first game. So I don't think it's going to be your best performance of the season if you're Ohio State here, but I do think that it will be good enough of a win to say that was a good win at the end of the season, because I think, once again, Minnesota, I could see them getting up to 8 to 9 wins this upcoming season. I think Minnesota does get redemption, and they do end up having a pretty good year. Probability 80% towards Ohio State, so I'm pretty confident that the Buckeyes do get the win here. Let me know your thoughts and comments below on this matchup. I do appreciate you guys all watching. Stay tuned for more from All Sports Central. I'll see you guys later.